What's going on, people? Tonight, we're going to discuss the importance of time. I want you guys to understand, and if this is your first time here, this is Glendon Cameron, your hustling godfather. What we do here is we help people start businesses. And tonight, I want to expound on the importance of time. I was having a lovely Facebook chat. And this is one of the things that you guys are going to get bombarded with over and over again. You don't have to work long hours. You're going to have many people trying to sell you a product, sell you something saying you don't have to work long hours. You don't have to put in the time. I have this system where you're going to be able to build this six-figure business, this seven-figure business, and be home every day by 5:30 to hang out with Big Booty Betty. Now, the reality of that, and I'm going to give you some numbers. 75 million people in America make less than $33,000 per year. And when you move it up to 80,000, 85% of America, 85% of a working America of working doesn't make $85,000 a year. And out of that large number of people, there are smart folks, there are intelligent folks, there are hardworking folks. They hadn't been able to figure that out, how to get a gang of money and not work that hard. And I'm going to tell you why. Typically, almost everyone that I know that has a business that's a millionaire in the beginning put in hours. In the beginning, they may have gotten to the point where they don't have to go into the office. I have a friend who's home so much his new neighbors thought he was retired because he was always home. He doesn't have to go in the office, but his business is 12 years old. And he set it up and he has systems and processes where he just doesn't have to be there a lot and the business still produces cash for him. But in the beginning, he was working 80 to 100 hours a week. I have another friend who's a multimillionaire who's never worked long hours. His father gave him the company. So when you see someone who's talking about you don't have to work long hours, there's this system, there's a better way, I want you to look deeper under the hood. And I want you to look at what kind of help this person had. Because, when I was in school, there was this girl who was talking about just ask your parents for money. And she wasn't being malicious. She wasn't being mean. She was sharing her reality. Her reality was that she could go pick up the phone, Mom, Dad, I need X amount of dollars. And they'd be like, sure, sweet pea. And they would give her the money. But if that's not your reality, because I've known the people who have businesses who've had the hookup, who've had special help, who had uncle who was in the position. I mean, like, essentially, let's say your parents don't have any special connections, but your parents are both high earners and you live in a wealthy neighborhood. Mr. Johnson, who owns Johnson's Pool Supply, the biggest pool supply company in the tri-state area, I want to talk to you. Sure, John, you live across the street. I've known you and your family for years. That's called a connection. If you're living in the hood, you ain't getting those kind of connections. Ganji, one thing people should do is check how early they can show up at work and go there early as possible. You leave early and get to have most of the afternoon to work on your business. That's a good tip. Because here's the thing, and I know that Me sitting there telling you that you're going to have to put in hours and hours and hours of hard work with little reward is not sexy. It's not even close to sexy. Ain't even in the ballpark of sexy, but it's reality. Because unless you have some type of special connection, hookup, or something like that, just go ahead and embrace the long hours that you're going to have to put in. This is what you're going to have to do. This is the reality of the game because you got so much to do and you got so much to learn. But there's a whole bunch of stuff out there that's telling you you don't have to work long hours. You could be home by 4:30, 5:30, hanging out with Big Booty Betty, Netflixing it all night. That's just not the reality for most of us. That wasn't my reality. I didn't grow up in a family with connections. I didn't have people in my family to illuminate the way. And if you are a person with those connections, use them. Use them. Make use of them. Make good, productive use of them. Because you're lucky that you have those connections. Because the average American doesn't have those kind of connections. Like, my friend who's a multimillionaire, I remember when I first met him, I just had this feeling this guy does not put in long hours. He wouldn't even come to the office half the time. It was Bill. And he was like, I'm at home cleaning up the house and we got 7 bathrooms. You know how big a house is that has 7 bathrooms? And I just couldn't figure it out because it was like, okay, how does this guy, he had the X5 4.6 IS, which was a hot truck back at the time. And I remember seeing a ATM receipt where he had like $100,000 on the checking account. And I just couldn't figure it out because this guy didn't work. Then one day I was in the office and this older gentleman shows up driving the Cadillac. And it's like, oh, you're Glendon. Hey, I'm Scott's father. Yeah, I started this company 40 something years ago and gave it to Scott. When your dad gives you a company with an incorporation, a paydex, and bank accounts, that's a pretty significant head start. That's pretty significant. So once again, I mean, that just explains so much because I couldn't figure out how this young guy had so much so early. And then when Daryl dad came in there, like I started this company 40 years ago, and dad was retiring and driving the Cadillac, and Scott's mother was looking young and frisky. I was just like, oh, this is how he did it. This is how it works. So whenever you have someone, because we had a productive conversation, and I'm like, anytime you have someone who's saying you don't have to work that hard, look back into that person's background and see what kind of connects they have. Just like my friend in college who was talking about ask your parents for money. It was her reality that you can ask your parents for money. I was sending money home. I couldn't ask my mom for money. And you got to think about how fortunate she was to be in that position, the comfort and security that, like, oh, I need some money. Hold on. Hey, mom. Yeah, things are going good. I need $1,500 because there's this trip I want to do. I want to get some stuff for the apartment. Oh, okay. It'll be in my account later on today. Thank you, mom. Appreciate it. How's dad? What's going on? I mean, that's a great thing to have. When you could go to someone and ask and know that they got it and they got you. That's great. But the reality is that most of us are not in that position. We're not in that position. And this is why people tend to have fantasies of wealth. Like if I had this kind of money, this is, because I remember there was this one thing, this guy, they asked him if he had gotten, well, he stole $400,000 and he spent it on hookers and blow. The man stole $400,000 and spent it on prostitutes and drugs. He did not try to put that money to work. He did not try to make more of it. He just stole it and he enjoyed himself with that money. And this is the average American mindset. If I get X amount of dollars, I'm going to party. I'm going to chill. I'm going to sit back. I'm going to relax. Steve Jameson went to college with a chick who charged a surgery on her Amex to trying to hide an injury. Good Lord. Oh, that's what it says when I send out the text. Let me see. I can change that. Well, I should be able to change that. But once again, the importance of time. If you're going to start a business and you're going to start working your craft, it's going to take time for you to become good at your craft. It's going to take time for you showing up. It's going to take time and effort and attention. And one of the things that I'm trying to do here is to mentally condition and mentally prepare you for what's before you on this journey. Because one of the biggest problems on the internet is you got great copywriting, and great copywriting impresses on your mental. Great copywriting has hooks and psychological triggers that can get you to buy a product. And what's the biggest draw? Comfort. You don't have to work that hard. You don't have to do it that way. There's a better system where you can build this multi-million dollar business in 35 hours a week and you can be chilling out with Big Betty Booty. Big Booty Betty. I mean, that sounds appealing. As appealing as a mug. Brooke, there was a professor that spent a research grant for 185K and blew it on iTunes of strippers. What's wrong? And see, this is one of the things, and this creates the thirst. One of the biggest issues of standing in the way of your success is your own thirstiness. Let's say you're an average person. You go to work, you come home, and there's not a lot of extra money for those things that you desire. I mean, you're barely getting the necessities, the mortgage, the rent, your car payment, buying food, keeping baby Joe in some new kicks, and there's not a lot left over. This is where the rim of fantasy comes in. Like, well, one day if I was rich, I can do X, Y, and Z. And this fantasy is based upon comfort. It's based upon comfort, things that make you happy, things that make you comfortable, things that will keep you in the lap of comfort. And one of the biggest things that you're going to have to do is to tame your desire for comfort. Because the whole thing of like, hey, you can build this multi-million dollar business working 35 hours a week and have weekends off and have time to hang out with Big Booty Betty, have time to go to movies, have time to do a Netflix um, binge. And once again, the average person doesn't realize you're going to get exceptional results from exceptional activity. You're not going to get exceptional results from 35 hours a week unless your father started the company and gave it to you. If you got it like that, okay. But if you don't have it like that, it ain't going to work. What about safe investments? I recycle and use the money to invest, go on trips. Well, once again, what are we talking about here? Are we talking about an extra $2,000 a month? Or are we talking about life-changing money? We're talking about 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70,000 a month. The average person would be balling out of control on $20,000 a month. So we're talking about, and let's frame this conversation. We're talking about life-changing money, building a business that makes you $15 to $50,000 per month. Investments. Investments work like this. The bigger the pile of money that you have to invest, the greater leverage that you have with your investments. So investing 500,000, $2,000 a month, investing $2,000 a month over time will bring you some nice juicy dividends, but in the short term, not so much. TikTok mouth off. Thanks for breaking this down. Yeah, because we were having this conversation and the person was we were just having a conversation because once again, whenever I hear that you don't have to work that hard, where you are in your journey, are you in the beginning stages? Because I'm going to tell you, if you're in the beginning stages, you're going to have to work real hard. You're going to have to put in hours unless you have special circumstances. Remember, I know of a business owner whose dad started a company and sold it to his son so he can get that retirement money. I don't blame him. Yep, it's for YouTube. So once again, I just want to dispel that notion that you're not going to have to work that hard because if you look at why most people are where they are, 75 million people in this country make $33,000 or less. Why do we have so many people making so little money? You know, growing up, exposure, opportunities. There are so many things that are going on with that. There are so many things that are part of increasing your because let's go ahead and say your name is Ed, and Ed, your dad was a high school graduate. Your mom was a high school graduate. Most of the family was high school graduates, and most of the family worked regular jobs. There was no one in the family tree to expose you to a higher level. So more than likely, you're going to repeat the cycle because you don't know what you don't know. You have no clue. Life for a business. Quick question. I work and make 60 grand per year. My business makes 1,500 per month. Congratulations. Out of that 1,500 per month, how much is profit? All right, Baruch. So once again, one of the things that you've got to understand, symbol, everyone I meet that makes 35 year K don't want to pay more in taxes. That is a broke person mentality because this is a lower class mentality. Like I don't want to make more money because I'm not just pay more taxes. If you're making 35K and you pay $5,000 in taxes, and then you move up to 100K and you pay $25,000 in taxes, you're going to have way more money in your pocket. 80% profit, so you're making 18K. What do you do with the profit? Douglas Jones, my grandmother scrubbed wealthy white people for her. She saw those boys had degrees, and that's why she assisted my father go to college. He really made it work. Back in the day, let's go from 1900 to about 1985. Having a degree was a great separator, maybe even up to 1990. But after that, it became about skill sets. And many people didn't get the memo. I mean, for a long period of time, going to school, getting a degree, it worked because most of America didn't have a degree. But I think right now, I think about 35, 40% of America has a degree or college education. So it's not that special anymore. David Tiller, I made 40K this year with my car wash business. It blew my mind, and I had to quit my job last year in April. Probably could have made 50K. Thank you for all the knowledge and inspiration. Congratulations, David Tillery. Reinvest. Okay. I mean, I would keep reinvesting the money until you get to like 5 or 6K a month. Life for business. I was going to wait until my profit. I don't know why your CPA, Amazon.com did not make a profit for 8 years. To keep him happy, you could pay yourself like $400 a month and then, just put that money into a separate account. Sunflower Power. My job will pay for us to go back to school to get a master's degree, but is it even worth it even though it's free? Once again, that depends upon you and what you want to do and your desires and wishes. Because if they're going to pay for it and it's going to be free and then you can come back in your job and get a 10, 15, $20,000 bump, it's worth it. But once again, you got to consider the time. If I go to school and get this degree, what's going to be the yield? What's going to be the upside after I come out? And if there's going to be upside with your company where they will pay you more money for that degree and pay for that degree, it's a no-brainer. So once again, you know, starting your business is going to take some time. That's the reality. That's what you're looking at. That's the way that it's going to be. That's the process. That's the special sauce because there's so many people who are like, you can do Shopify stores. Those guys who have successful Shopify stores work like maniacs. The guys who have successful Amazon FBA businesses, they work like maniacs. The whole notion of, be more efficient, I get that. And in time, you can have an Amazon business, you can have a Shopify store. There's this guy who does these great Shopify tutorials and he goes deep in what he's doing. He has a team. He has a team. It ain't just him. He has a team of like 4 or 5 people who help him put together these Shopify concepts. They were doing dog socks, and he did like a very good job of explaining what they did and how they did it. Yeah, because once again, there are so many people who want to be comfortable. There are so many people who are looking to um, start a business and not work that hard. And this is one of the things that has gone missing from the American culture. It used to be people were proud to work hard. They were proud to put in the hours. They were proud to show up. Now it's like, I ain't trying to do that. I was watching some MGTOW videos, and this guy was like, I don't need much. I ain't trying to work that hard. I just need a little extra so I can play my video games. And this is, and at the end of the day, that's that person's life. It's their choice to invest in where they want to invest, but that's not a productive person. It's just not a productive person. I don't know what's going on with some people who avoid work like they avoid potholes. Just ain't trying to do that. Once again, let's just talk about some of the things I've discovered. Because once you put in the work and you can build on it and create efficiency, then, like, all right, give you an example. The Craigslist marketing system, which I spent months on that. And the reason I spent months on it is each month that I became better at creating and writing Craigslist ads, I made more money. So it was a very direct proportional yield thing. Then at some point, I forget how many years later, I took that same marketing system, which I had already built, and took it to the Craigslist protocols. And it took me 90 days to fine tune it. So once you build, once you invest, once you put in the time, then you can become more efficient, which takes you less time because this 90 days created a lead generation system for women for like 12 years. So 90 days of work got me 12 years of results. But I had those many months of writing all of those ads, putting together that system in the Craigslist market. So I paid my dues. And you got people who are trying to get around this, yet get the same results without the work. I know, Bungie. It's the water and the hormones and the food and all, Erica Williams says. That's why people don't want to work. Just don't drive. All right, DNC appliance repair. DC and F appliance repair. Everyone is entitled. They need to visit some of these third world countries and see how they live in, and they appreciate what America has to offer. This is one of the reasons that immigrants have an easier time of operating in this system because they know what real poverty is. Our closest people who know what real poverty are the homeless people living on the streets. But if you live in a house, you have running water, you have cable, you go to McDonald's, you have an iPhone, you're not that poor in comparison to 75% of the world's population who are living in huts, who have to worry about clean drinking water. I mean, I want you to think about this. Like we got people in Flint, Michigan that have to worry about clean drinking water. But once again, The whole thing is you can build efficiencies and processes which create shortcuts down the road because you're going to have to work like a maniac in the beginning. But you're not, you put in the work, you're not going to have to keep doing that. And that's the message. But, the message is put in the work, show up, show out, work as hard as you can, learn from that. And then you can, like with the Craigslist protocols. Um, the Craigslist marketing system probably took me a year and a half to build. But because I spent that year and a half on it, I was able to tweak it and use it for my personal women getting lead generation system. So the time invested, because once again, once you become real good at your craft and your business, you will become inherently more efficient. But once again, you still got to put the time up into it up front. Good Lord, Ganja. Cold showers. Man, cold showers are rough. Kirk Johnson, the Craigslist marketing system, is available in the Hustlers Kung Fu book collection, which is a Hustlers Kung Fu. All right. Erica Williams, seriously, the bar is so low. Folks want to work like 10 to 15-hour jobs. They complain that life is expensive. Being efficient and streamlined is not the same as the person looking for the shortcut. No, it isn't. I mean, you got folks who literally don't want to work. They just don't want to work. I've seen this with like millennials. Some millennials, they're just like allergic to work, like work's a disease. Like the Craigslist marketing system will still work for Craigslist to sell stuff, but the Craigslist protocols won't work because they got rid of the personal section. Guns, I came up with the quote this week: "We're only entitled to sleeping, breathing, and dying. Everything else is a privilege." Man, that's pretty deep. Because one of the things is, as a business owner, you're in commission sales. Unless you actually do something and get a result, you don't get paid. You're in commission sales. This is why I say being a 100% commission salesperson will prepare you to be a business owner because if you don't make any sales, you don't get paid, baby. And this is why so many people want a job. You can get a job and not work that hard. Just do enough to keep him from firing you and not really work that hard and just kind of sit around and go talk to people and be real chatty and stuff. You can't do that with your own business. And a lot of people don't do this. And I'm just here to say that in the beginning, and let's define this in the beginning, you're going to have to work very hard. When I started this YouTube channel, I was working 12, 14 hours a day for 6 months. I didn't make any money. I didn't make any money on this YouTube channel until about the 5.5 month mark. And I was going at it full time. You tell someone like you're gonna have to work many, many, many months with no pay. They're gonna look at you like, I can't do that. And the thing is, if you have a job, you can do that. And you're doing this in your spare hours, you can do that. You can do it. Oh, ganja. This is one of the reasons that I said that. Whenever I got a job, whenever I was doing those crappy jobs for Craig's, for the labor pool, I would do the jobs to the best of my ability because, as you just pointed out, that if you take a slack attitude, you build a slack habit that will backfire on you when you start your own business. Tony Quaid. Yeah, the e myth has been out there a lot. Because one of the things that people don't understand is creating a business is about putting together a system of processes and systems that yield a result. You got to get a result. If you don't get a result, your money's not going to last that long. And one of the big issues that we have with so many people in the lack of understanding and the lack of putting in the work and the lack of showing up. Because I'm here to tell you, there are many products out there that are saying you're not going to have to do the work. And I'm here to tell you that if they're like 1,000, 2,000, $3,000, it's a falsehood. You're going to spend $3,000 on this product and it's going to make you 100K. You know what kind of investment? If you spent $3,000 on a stock and it got to 100K in like 6 months, people will be like, how did you do that? That would be amazing. And this is why people don't have an understanding of what true investment is. Like you could invest $1 million, come up, show up with a suitcase with $1 million and give it to some guys. And, depending upon what kind of deal you guys are going to work out, you can get 10, 15% on your money. Now, if you were to give them that money and buy part of the company, then the company ramps up. That's a wholly different thing, because just showing up with money doesn't entitle you to a healthy profit. Like, let me tell y'all a story. I hired this guy to help me, and on his first day, which was a Saturday, he did not show up. He did not call. He did not come to work because it was the weekend baby. The number of people who need money but will not work on the weekend because this quote, the weekend is stunning. You hiding your car from Ronald the Repo Man, but you ain't gonna work on the weekend because that's just crazy. How many people have that attitude? It's the weekend, it's Christmas, it's Thanksgiving. I need to be off. The mental mindset of so many people are out of line with their reality. You know, when the upscale garage sale, I've told the story many times. I'll tell it again right now. I treated Saturdays like some people treat Sundays. That was a day to get money. That was our cash money day. We would get cash money because our eBay income, my Amazon income, all of that stuff was tracked. But the cash money, making $3,000 to $12,000 on a Saturday, cash money, couldn't miss that. Couldn't miss that. And I would be dating chicks, and I was just like, I don't go out on Friday nights because I got to work Saturday. And the number, I had one chick who actually stopped dating me because I would not go out on the weekends. I was like, I got to work. Shit, you work too much. When is enough. And this is one of the craziest things. When you have someone outside of your life deciding what's good enough for you, that's crazy. But when you have people who just, once again, this whole message is about put in the work, do what you need to have to do in the beginning. After 2 to 3 years, once again, I'm saying it's 2 to 3 years of a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of effort, it's going to smooth out. But you're not going to get to that smooth out person unless the smoothed out portion of the journey, unless you put the work in. Because we're having this conversation on Facebook, and there's so many people who like I want you to think about when you start a business, you're doing something you've never done before. You've never done this before. It's all brand new, it's all special. So there's so many things you have to learn. There's so many things you have to do. And that's going to take time. It isn't like it's unfair or you're being chastised. It's just you're building something that's never been built before. Tony, I don't know where the weekends. Been the bartender 7 days in the week, and the banks charge interest every day. They do. You look at your credit card statement, once that interest calculator starts going off, they start charging interest daily, compounded daily. Sean, truth, weekend scheduling was always one of my big. I mean, people just don't want to work. It's the weekend, man. And Monday through Friday, they're not doing that much, but it's the weekend. It's like this magical moment. Like, I gotta be off. I gotta go to the concert. I gotta hang out. Erica Williams, there is a woman getting a divorce. Her husband said she was greedy for working all the time. Guess what? They're getting a divorce and he's asking for alimony. Her business still kicking. Here's something else. And this is a conversation I've had with a few chicks. And I've started having this conversation that, you're not going to come before my business. Because in the romantic world, your girl, your family is supposed to come before everything. Like if your girl needs you to come home because she's like feeling some kind of way, you're supposed to drop everything and rush home to be by her side. That is foolishness to me. If you got a real problem, like my ex, she cracked open her head, and I was at the gym, and I had finished up the gym, and I was there able to take her to the emergency room. There's never been a time when I was involved with someone when they really needed me for something significant. I've been there. I've been there each and every time. But there are many women that want their dude to be sitting up under them, and I'm not that kind of dude. And I was like, look, I got a business, and there are going to be times that you're going to want me around. I'm not going to be around. I just got to let you know that up front, because typically, what many women want is your full and undivided attention whenever they want it. Now, if she needs you and she's having a true crisis, cool, be there. You know, but just to be there because she needs you there to be comfortable is madness. Glenn, you probably don't remember 7 months ago, I started a business. My partner left me after a week. 4 months ago, I found a new partner. It lasted 4 months. The next partner is planning to last 6 months. TMA, I work weekends. Some people don't or won't work on their birthdays. That's one thing that's cracked me up. To me, a birthday is just another day. It's just another day. Rod for real estate. Eric Williams, I know a girl is getting married to a guy for a solid income. Got engaged in the first 4 months of dating. She found a winner. Douglas Jones, I did that run home nonsense repeatedly. Wiped me out financially. Won't do it again. I mean, it's one of the craziest things that when you get in a relationship with the wrong person, they want all of your time. And I remember having this conversation with this chick because we were dating, we were intimate, and she's like, it's Friday night, and you got to go to bed early, and I'm lonely. And she's like, maybe I need to find someone else. And when a woman tells you something like that on the phone, I was like, you're unhappy. She says, "Well, I want you to be here." And I'm like, "I'm telling you, I can't be there." And it's not like I'm just at home, picking boogers out my nose. It's like I got a business. I got to show up. I got to be there. And this was a grown woman. We had this conversation, and then I realized what was going to happen. So I just broke up with her and just bounced because real people are doing real things. Gunja, I believe the problem with these women is people were telling them they're queens when growing up. If you are a man, call a woman queen. Stop that shit. Women raised from very financially successful fathers know the man can't be there like that. It tells about their family. Nope, Timothy, I don't. Broadly come people who need you there to feel comfortable or emotional vampires. Francisco, I don't understand your question. Because one of the things is, and this will become an issue once you get on that path if you're with a person. Because one of the things is you'll hear people say that my family is the most important thing in the world to me. And if you look at how they're living, you'll see that that isn't true. That just isn't true. Like one of the problems I had with Pat Flynn was when he was doing his thing, he put out the message that he was doing this online thing because he wanted to be home with his kids when they were little. Here's the news: when your kids are little, if they see you 2 to 4 hours a day, that's enough. You don't need to be around your kids when they're little. Well, let's say if you're in a position and you have a marriage and the mom can be home with the kids all day, that's cool between 2 to 4. Because see, once again, you're teaching your kids, like if you're around all day, every time they look up, they see you, that's going to stunt their growth because the real world doesn't work like that. Peter Amalu, offer up because I put this out in the video the other day. There are more places to resell stuff today than there was when I was doing that. So definitely, you can make a lot of money. Tony Quaid, that is true. And there's just a lot of folks who cannot be in relationship with an entrepreneur. Timothy LaFleur, but Glendon, if you don't have a personal coach or a master ground, then how are you growing? I read, I do new things, I expand my concept every day. You don't need a personal coach or mastermind to grow. James Sandman, a woman told me I made too much money, I work too much, and all I care about is money. I was like, what? I told her I haven't made enough. See, once again, you cannot let some outside person dictate what your desires should be. One of the things that many people don't understand when you're dealing with an entrepreneur is that entrepreneurs are a different breed. They're different. They walk different. They look at life different. Um, it's a wholly different thing. Like I was never the type of person, if I needed money, I wouldn't work on the weekend because it was the weekend. That never made sense to me. And there are many people deeply entrenched in that mindset because it's the weekend, or my girl needs me, or I need to be hanging around. I don't understand that mindset. I just don't understand that mindset. But once again, in the beginning, the importance of time, you're going to have to put the time in. And I'm here to tell you that you strategically just don't work hard to work hard. But if you have a strategic plan, a roadmap, a blueprint, and you put in the work, you will get dividends. This is one of the things I can say. Everything that I've worked really hard on, I've gotten dividends. I've gotten a good result, or I've gotten paid big. And it's about investing that time now for the future. All right, Mike. Because once again, once you get this thing going, once you start building it, once you start putting it together, magic can happen. And I think one of the reasons is that people will start something and they will quit because it gets hard, or they want to hang out with people. Because, like, one of the things is, I'm not going to date a woman that always wants to hang out. Just isn't going to happen. My friend used to complain about her husband starting businesses. When all her friends were excited, she changed her tune because they were looking at that bag, man. Because, see, this is one of the things that you have to understand, and this is part of the journey. You must align yourself with someone who supports your journey. Like, on Disruptive Male, I just did this live stream. Drug dealers have no problem finding girlfriends or wives. Someone that sells drugs has no problem hooking up with a chick. These chicks will be with them. They'll be up in the kitchen baking crack if they need to be. And they know what this guy does is illegal. So if a drug dealer can find someone who's in alignment with what he does professionally, why can't you? I heard you say you shouldn't want a tax refund, instead of you should want to pay during tax season. I don't think I've ever said that. My big thing is set your business up where there's inherent tax advantages. So, yeah, I think you got confused. I never said you should want to pay more money. That is definitely not me. So once again, you should have to get someone that's in alignment with you as an entrepreneur, because here's the good news: all chicks are not needy. All chicks are not crazy. You can find someone out there who will be in alignment with what you're doing, and they'll be cool with it, and you will have a good support system. But if you get one of those needy women who needs you to come running every time she has a feeling because she wants you around, or she don't want you out there making money, that's going to be poison to your relationship. It will be poison, because once again, I want you guys to understand, you can have anything in the world if you actually have the guts and bravery to ask for it and put in the work. It could be whatever you want. You can have it. But once again, staying on message, you got to put in the time. And, let's say what the time is. Depending on what kind of business you have, we're looking at 2 to 3 years. 2 to 3 years. And if you're going to live to be 90 to 100 years old, that ain't a lot of time compared to your lifespan. And one of the things that so many people are trying to get out of putting in the time, putting in the work, doing what they need to do. And that's just not going to help them long term. All right, that's it, guys. This is the message tonight. Just went because it was heavy on my heart. It came to me because we had that conversation. There wasn't even a live stream plan today, but that's what I want you guys to do and ponder on this. So with that, I will see you guys later.